Hi, this is Chris from Career Services at Michigan Tech, here to talk with you today about LinkedIn profiles. The objective is to make those compelling and effective. It obviously is an online network, and I want to point out to you that it is really specifically for professional networking. And I've underlined both of those words there in bolded one, right? So definitely the focus is on professional activities, but I want to encourage you to view this in terms of a networking mechanism. And this is really where LinkedIn really tends to shine. Um, for context, people that you meet in a professional setting are searching for you, and you want to show them what you want them to see. You can use social networking platforms to find openings, but really, I would recommend that you focus your activities on networking so that you can find those unadvertised openings. As you know, Department of Labor reports that 80% of the jobs that are currently available are actually unadvertised. And so, really and truly, if you're applying to positions that are posted, you're only looking at about 20% of the jobs that are available at any time. The other great thing about LinkedIn is that you can use it to learn more about companies. So the perspective here is that it's an online portfolio. You can use it to grow a professional network, and it does make it easy for recruiters to potentially find you. As we go about creating our LinkedIn profiles, I'm going to emphasize four priority areas, and that's that introduction section, the about section, the experience section, and education. So let's take a look at those a little in more depth. In that intro section, you have an opportunity to use a professional photo. We urge you to do so. LinkedIn reports that you're 7 times more likely to be viewed by potential connections if you have a photo than if you don't. It certainly communicates the credibility of your profile. And you want to use a professional headshot. And so I want you to take a look at the four photos on the right side here. You can see that the top two are very professional, send out a pretty good image, whereas the bottom two look as though they're a little bit rushed, right? And so the image on the bottom left, this person's in their vehicle. Don't know how this photo was taken, but there it is. The image on the bottom right, this person, it's definitely cropped, and this person appears to be at a restaurant. And so you just want to use a nice professional headshot if possible. Um, in that introduction section, you want to make sure that you're using the correct keywords that effectively identify your expertise, focus, and experience. So an example of this was a profile that we had reviewed several years ago, and the student's name has been changed. And so, but John's student here claimed that he was a dining services supervisor at Michigan Technological University. And there is absolutely nothing wrong with that, provided that is what he is seeking to get professionally. So if he was in the food service industry, that would be a great thing to write there. However, he was actually a mechanical engineering student, and this was just a part-time job that he held. And so what he wants to do is he wants to emphasize in using those keywords in the introduction section that he is a mechanical engineering student. You can see from what I have listed here that I've kind of used kind of a grab bag of different phrases. You want to have something that's coherent, that makes sense for you. You do have a finite character space here in this headline section. So be sure as you look through that, really to think about what your priorities are and identify that expertise, focus, and experience. The other thing I'll point out is that when you list your education as Michigan Tech, it's going to actually promote that up here into this section. And so there's no need to write at Michigan Tech in the headline. It takes up a couple of extra character spaces that you could potentially be using something else. The other thing I'll point out here is that you can alter the zip code in the profile in this intro section, and that'll change the feed that you receive from LinkedIn. And so what I did here is I changed my zip code to 78410, which is Corpus Christi, Texas. And then you also have an opportunity to change and choose from different industries that you'd like to focus on. So what's nice about this is that if you know the industry that you want to focus on, you can put that there. And if you have a particular region in the United States that you wish to target, you could also potentially put it down there. The other thing that you could potentially do here is you could change your URL. And so what you see here is I've changed mine to linkedin.com/in/Michigan Tech Chris Honholt. You could change it to whatever you want it to be. What's nice about this is that it makes it somewhat memorable for folks when you write it on your resume, in case that resume is a hard copy and they don't have the ability just to click a link that's on there. So you could potentially change it, right? Just make sure that that's professional and something that you would want to show up on your resume, whatever you decide to change it to. After the introduction section, then we start to pay close attention to that about section. And the goal here is to create a compelling summary. This is your virtual handshake and a personal introduction. You should use the same genuine conversational voice that you would use if you were meeting someone in coffee over in person, right? So it should be personal and descriptive, and just tell the reader what you do and maybe a little bit of why. So you've got a lot more space here than what you had in that headline section of the intro. So we're going to go through a couple of different paragraphs here. That first one is really just introducing yourself, talking about what you're studying, maybe a little bit about what you're seeking, and then also how to potentially contact you here. And so if you wish to use personal information such as your email or your cell phone number, you can add that if you want to. Some people want to, some people don't. But I would certainly leave some way that they could potentially get in touch with you. That second paragraph provides a little bit more detail about you. Start out with the background of why you do and talk about that. Tell them about why you're passionate about there, but you may just want to leave off the terms "I am passionate," right? But talk to them about why you're interested in that. But be sure to also share your aha moment. It's really interesting to watch people as they read through these elements of LinkedIn profiles, because you can just tell that they're starting to get absorbed into that. And if you share this type of information with people, it really explains why you're compelling. And it's a lot of fun to watch folks as they interact with that particular component of LinkedIn. That third paragraph, just then explain what you're doing to actually follow that passion. So talk about hands-on experiences, if you had co-ops or internships, if you've gotten involved with any kind of enterprises on campus, any coursework projects, and then volunteering. Talk about what you worked on, right? So focus on the work you actually did. Talk about the problem that the team overall was trying to solve or the goal that they were trying to achieve, but just be sure to focus on what you did, the work that you did. It includes scope, challenges, and results. People are always interested to see what you were facing and what you were able to produce given those things. And again, you're just trying to draw the reader in. That fourth paragraph is really a pivot from maybe your major and maybe some of those technical aspects of what you've been working on to some of the leadership and community involvement elements, right? So talk about the co-curricular involvement, talk about teams that you've been a part of and your teamwork, and then talk about leadership. This is a great opportunity to talk about interpersonal communication, organizational, and collaborative skills that you could share. From there, you get to go into that fifth paragraph, which is optional. If there's room at the bottom, you can create a list of keywords relevant to your field of study or industry, and you can see that we just kind of have put those in between the pipes there. So that's just a great opportunity to potentially use those. Write in first person, apply keywords carefully. The thing here is that you definitely want to tell your story. And if you have an opportunity to incorporate some keywords within that, you should do that. But I would not start out with a list of keywords that you want to start and kind of weave your story around those, right? You can use numerous paragraphs that are conversational bullets, and this is opposed to maybe just a narrative paragraph. It allows the reader to segment more information about you, and it can be more readable than a large group of text. And then be careful with phrases such as extensive experience, organized, good communication skills, results driven. Really and truly, if you're doing a good job of writing about things in the experience as well as in the about section, that message will come through loud and clear without you ever having to tell the reader that you are those things. And the key here is just go ahead and keep revising. This is an example of what that about section could potentially look like. This student is a mechanical engineering student. She describes what she's looking for, and then she has her contact information out there. And it basically tells her story of where she grew up, the types of things that she got involved with, and things that she's proud of. She talks about an internship that she had with the Ford Motor Company. and she talked about the things that she was able to get involved with. And then she finishes up her about section by talking about her experience with the Aerospace Enterprise Engineering Program, and how she basically has been able to provide some leadership to that group as well. So this is a fairly compelling about section. I am drawn into this as I read it. If you want to pause the video and take a look at this, you certainly can do that. But it's a pretty good write-up for that about section. This is another one. The student is picking up a master's degree, talks about what type of work they were involved with their undergraduate degree as well. They talk about their co-ops. They talk about all the different things that they have gotten involved with. They have a list of skills here that they've mentioned here as well, and they've gone ahead and they've mentioned their strength, and they've gone ahead and they've listed those out. So again, a good about section that's compelling, and it kind of draws the reader in. From here, so we've talked about the intro section, we've talked about the about section, and this is the experience section. Great idea is to include projects as well as internships or co-ops in here as well. And so this is a pretty good format to follow here. So go ahead and start with the company name. And if it was an internship or a co-op, talk about the company name. It may be that it is for a project that you've gotten involved with at Michigan Tech. So go ahead and list Michigan Technological University there. If it's an independent project, you can do that. After that, go into the project section and start to talk about those things. So then go in and talk about the description, highlight the experiences that relate to the industry needs first. You could potentially cut and paste these from your resume, or potentially an addendum that you may have to your resume. But just realize that there's a lot more room in their LinkedIn profile on your resume to give lengthy, detailed descriptions. And so you can certainly do that. The other thing that you could potentially do is add relevant rich media, right? So if you produced a technical report or something as a result of that internship or co-op and you're allowed to share it, you could potentially paste that, post that within your profile as well. This is a writing prompt that may help you with that. So as you start to think about those experiences, do it in terms of action and result. And so a great writing prompt is I am, or I did this. Use an action verb there, using this particular tool, method, technique, or software to accomplish whatever you did. And then you just remove the I am or I did and accomplish, right? And that'll provide a really good accomplishment statement that you can add. So focus on improvements and values. So as you think about writing these things, did you work on a team? What kind of problems did you solve? Did you use a process, a technique, method, or software? Were you able to design, test, or analyze a product or a process? Were you able to raise production? Did you potentially lower costs? Did you serve as a coordinator, liaison, or a committee chair? Did you get to supervise anybody? And even if you were mentoring a newly hired person, you could potentially list that as well. Did you inspect or supervise? Did you collect or analyze data? Were you able to implement a marketing campaign? Did you troubleshoot business operations? Did you get to measure, identify, assess, map, or manage timber or forest lands? Did you design, implement, maintain, repair, or troubleshoot computer or networking systems? Did you make oral presentations, right? And then did you encounter any special challenges such as distance, language, topography, timeline, or budgets, or anything like that? So really kind of sit and focus on improvements and adding value, and kind of go through this list and see what you may have done while you were involved in that internship, co-op, or even project here on campus. From there, you'll finalize this by really paying close attention to the education. Obviously, you would list your bachelor's degree, any kind of a master's degree. And then the other thing you could potentially add in this section is any kind of additional training you may have received. And so what you see here is a Coursera course that I've listed on pesticide chemistry, right? And so you could potentially list that in the education section as well. So in closing, you just want to use LinkedIn to its full potential. You could join a group related to your profession, follow and contribute to discussions in those groups. It allows you to stay focused on professional activities and use your connections to reach out to those who work for companies or in occupations that potentially interest you. Thank you for listening today. Hope you have a great day. Bye bye.